Okay, what enzyme? Phenylalanine hydroxylase. Enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase is absent in these patients. In these patients, what happens? Phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme is absent, and due to what happens? Phenylalanine amino acid is not converted into tyrosine. That is very important for excretion. Okay, so what happens? Due to that, phenylalanine amino acid is unable to convert into tyrosine, and due to excess, it causes toxicity. Okay, what they are causing? They are causing toxicity, and this toxicity reduces the brain development. So come on that. Due to excess phenylalanine presence, it reduces brain development and intelligent quotient IQ. Okay, and intelligent quotient becomes what? So they are becoming less than 20. So IQ, intelligent quotient, become less than 20. And this is the JIPMER question. In which syndrome intelligent quotient become less than 20, where phenylalanine accumulation is high? So what is that? That is which syndrome? Phenylketonuria. Now, since excess of phenylalanine is there, okay, and that are coming directly into urine, that's why it is also known as phenylketonuria. When this patient urinating, so this becomes what? That are forming, when coming outside, they are forming ketone, and it is known as phenylketonuria. Now, what we seen in this phenylketonuria, here problem occurs on chromosome number 12. Okay, so due to this is caused due to abnormality in chromosome number 12. So this also you have to remember, chromosome number 12 and IQ less than 20. So that is phenylketonuria. Now, next one is alkaptonuria. Next disease is L-captonuria. Now, this disease was discovered by or explained by Garrod, and this is first inborn metabolic disorder. So, it is first inborn metabolic disorder which was explained by Garrod. Okay, so which was explained by which scientist? Garrod. This is alkaptonuria. Okay, now here this is also an autosomal, we are writing autosomal recessive metabolic disorder. It is also an autosomal metabolic recessive disorder. Okay, previous was also autosomal recessive metabolic disorder. This is also, now here what happened, here alkaptone oxidase enzyme is deficient. So here alkaptone oxidase enzyme is absent or deficient. Okay, this is also known as homogentisate oxidase enzyme, or we can say homogentisate oxidase enzyme, and that's why it is also known as homogentisate disorder, also known as homogentisate disorder or syndrome. Okay, this you have to remember that which enzyme is deficient here. So that enzyme name is alkaptone oxidase. Okay, now here what happens, this alkaptone accumulates in the tissues. Okay, because conversion not possible, so this alkaptone accumulated in the tissue and excreted in the urine. That's why known as alkaptonuria. So this alkaptone, or we can say excess alkaptone, accumulated in tissues and excreted directly into urine, and hence known as alkaptonuria. Okay, now here symptom is what, mostly they are having arthritis. The patient suffering from this also suffered from arthritis. They are having bronze pigmentation. Okay, and when this urine comes outside from the body, it turns black. So symptom are urine outside the black, urine outside the body turns black. And another symptom is what? Arthritis, slow IQ. Okay, so these are the some symptom. Bronze pigmentation, bronze pigmentation. So these belongs to what? They are having what? The alkaptone-urea symptom. Now, next one is albinism. Next disorder is albinism. Now, albinism means having problem in pigment melanin. Okay, what happens here? Pigment formation, that melanin is there, that giving skin color. So here absence of that, or that having very less present. So these patients are known as albinos. So what I am telling, albinos lack dark pigment melanin. Albinos having deficiency of dark pigment melanin in hair, skin, or nail. Okay, hair, skin, or nail, and sometime also affected iris of eye. Okay, or we can say and iris. So this looking what? Albino. Albino means colorless. Iris, skin, hair. Deficiency of which pigment? That is melanin. Okay. Now here what happens? Chromosome number 11, long arm of chromosome number 11 here, and one more gene is there, that is a P gene, that are find on chromosome number 5. Okay, so it is caused due to abnormality in chromosome number 11, long arm, and chromosome number 5. Okay, so two chromosome combined problem is this, that is known as albinism. Okay, now next one, what is the symptom? Already we seen. No color present means they are having colorless on skin, they are having colorless on hair, they are having colorless in iris. Okay, next disorder is cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis. Okay, now this is also happens what? Caucasian population. Okay, what is that? Caucasian. Here what happens? Failure of chloride ion pumping system, or what we can say, transport mechanism. So this is found in Caucasian population. This patient unable to transport chloride ion channel. So what happens here? Sodium ion concentration is very high. Okay, since chloride ion problem having in transportation, so here what happens? Sodium ion, okay, sodium ion concentration is excess, and due to that what happens, it causes blockage, it causes what, secondary infection. So come on that. Due to excess sodium ion, it causes blockage and secondary infection in human being. Okay, now here what happens, chloride ion transport mechanism fails in this syndrome. Okay, and other symptoms is what, here huge mucus formation happens, and that's why it is also known as mucoviscoitis. Here huge mucus formation occurs, and hence also known as mucoviscoitis. This is nothing but what happens, chloride ion disbalance mechanism applied here in cystic fibrosis. Now symptom is what, impairment of pancreatic juice and liver function. Okay, so symptoms are impairment of pancreas, dysfunction in liver, and mostly heart failure. Mostly heart failure symptoms also found in these patients. They are having heart failure symptoms, but dysfunction in liver and impairment of pancreas are the also symptoms present in this cystic fibrosis. Okay, now next disease is Tay-Sachs disease or infantile amaurotic idiocy, IMD. infantile idiocy or amaurotic idiocy. So, Tay Sachs disease or infantile amaurotic idiocy. This is also recessive autosomal disorder. And here what happens? Deficiency of beta DN acetylhexosaminidase enzyme deficient. Okay. So what I told? It is also an autosomal recessive metabolic disorder. Okay, here absence of beta DN hexosaminidase enzyme. Okay, what happens here? Absence of beta DN hexosaminidase enzyme, or if I tell in complete, so it is full name is acetyl. Okay, so beta DN acetyl hexosaminidase enzyme is deficient here, and due to that what happens? The brain damaging occurs. So symptoms found here are damaged brain cells. First symptom is what? Damaged brain cells. And other symptom is damaged spinal cord. Damaged spinal cord. And due to that, mentally retardation found. Okay, so due to that, what happens here? Mentally retardation found here. Okay, now at the age of 3 to 4 years, the child become dead. So child is dead at the age of 3 to 4 years. This you have to remember, at which age this disease, Tay Sachs disease or infantile amaurotic idiocy happens. So that is 3 to 4 years, and here most important, damaged brain cell and damaged spinal cord. And what happens here? Absence of beta DN acetylhexosaminidase enzyme found. Okay, so this is Tay Sachs disease. Next disease is sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia. Why this name comes? Because here RBC generally having a rounded shape, but in this type of patients, RBC becomes sickle shaped. Okay, and that's why it is known as sickle cell anemia. Here what happens? Chromosome number 11. Here, chromosome number 11, sickle shaped hemoglobin present. So, It is also an autosomal recessive metabolic disorder previously known, but now this time it is known as autosomal codominant metabolic disorder. Please be attentive on that. It is an autosomal codominant disorder and previously known autosomal metabolic recessive disorder. Okay, previously known as, but now this time it is autosomal codominant disorder. Okay, now what happens in this sickle cell anemia? HbS means sickle shaped hemoglobin present on chromosome number 11. Here HbS, sickle shaped hemoglobin present on chromosome number 11. This also important, that what happens, sickle shape generally happens rounded shape, so it become sickle like. Okay, now since RBC becomes sickle shaped, so what happens here? Glutamic acid of sixth position of beta chain replaced by valine. So here glutamic acid of sixth position at beta chain is replaced by valine. So what we can say, how it happens, this disease, in this disease glutamic acid replaced by valine. Okay, and this is the major cause that happens here. Okay, now here what happens if we are seeing, so oxygen deficiency occurs. Why? Because oxygen binding capacity lost when this sickle shaped hemoglobin transformed. Okay, so here what happens? Here oxygen binding capacity decreased and cells become damaged. Since oxygen deficiency will occur due to oxygen deficiency. Okay, so due to oxygen deficiency, what happens? How this occurs? Oxygen deficiency due to oxygen binding capacity decreased. How this happens? Glutamic acid replaced by valine. That's why the normal hemoglobin of RBC becomes sickle shaped, and that sickle shaped doing what? Damaged the cell due to oxygen deficiency. Okay, now till yet we seen recessive traits disorder. Now we have to come on dominant traits disorder. Next is dominant traits disorder. Under that, first one is Huntington's chorea. First is Huntington's chorea. Huntington's chorea. Now, as already we told, this is what? Dominant disorder. So it is dominant autosomal gene disorder occurs on chromosome number 4. So it is a dominant gene disorder which is caused due to abnormality in chromosome number 4. What I told, it is abnormality on which chromosome number? So that is chromosome number 4. And here what happens? Muscle and mental deterioration occurs. Here muscle and mental deterioration takes place. Okay, muscle deterioration also occurs, so patients become lean and thin, and mental deterioration occurs, so patient is looking like what? They are having a gradual loss of motor control. Okay, or we can say here gradual loss of motor control mechanism, and hands become trembling, body looking dance like. Okay, so hands become trembling like that, and body always what happened, like vibrating. Okay, so that is happens here, dance like movement occurs. And while speaking, okay, while speaking, so that is a blurring speech, or what we can say slurred, so slurring of speech. And what happens, loss of memory. So another is slurring speech, then loss of memory. Okay, and this is the disease that start at the age of 15 to 40 years. So what I told, start at the age of 15 to 40 years. And this is very important, at which stage or age this is being started. Which one? Huntington's chorea. What type of disease this is? Dominant gene disorder. That abnormality occurs on chromosome number 4. Okay. Now, next is some single word is there, like polydactyly. So what is that? Polydactyly. One disease is there that is known as polydactyly. What do you mean by presence of extra fingers and toes? So that is known as polydactyly. So presence of extra fingers and toes, persons known as suffering from polydactyly.